Up next, we have Sean O'Reilly, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. Sean's dream was to become a comic book writer, and he realized that dream by creating and writing Cade, a comic book series that has now gone on to see 8 graphic novels published and is now also available on the iPad. Sean has written and produced 2 books for Simon & Schuster, 2 for HarperCollins, 18 books for Stone Archer Books, and nearly 200 graphic novels for Arcana. Sean won the Moonbeam Award for Top Children's Graphic Novel, as well as the Mom's Choice Award for The Clockwork Girl and The Gwai, respectively. Sean also wrote Continuum, which was set up at a major studio in 2011, and has also published Cowboys and Aliens through Platinum Studios, which is now a summer blockbuster for DreamWorks. So welcome, Sean.
From city planning to comic books. This should be interesting. Up and away. This is basically the story of myself, my company, and developing content in a transmedia storytelling capacity. Transmedia is the new buzzword. It's when a story can transcend the medium. You develop an intellectual property, which I'll talk about, and you create a set of parameters, a set of rule sets where you can have multiple story acts within that. This is the San Diego Comic-Con. 120,000 people go here annually. This marked my 10th year going here. That's our booth. To the right is DC Comics. To the left are Simpsons. Behind us is Marvel Comics. Since 2004, we have created and published original stories we own. One of the big feathers in my cap was working with Platinum Studios on Cowboys and Aliens, which Harrison Ford starred in, as well as Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard produced, which was great. I've also worked on the Kiss Compendium with Gene Simmons. I've written and produced 2 movies for Lionsgate Films, and have others which I'll talk about as well. The barriers I've had to face. In 2004, I was dealing with an exchange rate, we all were, of $1.50 compared to now with money basically at par. That simple economy, with the US being my #1 consumer, has radically changed my company. A second thing is disruptive technologies such as the iPad has had all publishers and content providers rethink what they've been doing. Funny picture here. Overcoming these barriers, you know, in 20 seconds it's kind of hard to say a lot of this, so I boiled it down to one statement I love to do. You cannot change the wind, but you can adjust your sails. No matter the changes you have to overcome, there's got to be a way and you got to figure it out, and mostly it's through these type of changes. The power law distribution curve is one of those changes, also known as long-tail economics or the 80-20 rule. My books and my content tend not to come out at a strong opening, but what happens is over the long run, they've done quite well and they've performed. If you're new to the industry, that's one of the things you want to do, because the value is in the intellectual property. So, Iron Man, as the value of intellectual property, how much would he be worth? For decades, nearly 40 years, this is the numbers Iron Man did. These are legitimate numbers. Pretty good, solid numbers, good profit. Having said that, the movie did some staggering numbers that can't even be comprehended. So the value of the intellectual property of Iron Man in comic books, pretty good. The value of the IP in movies, it basically secured a $4 billion deal with Disney. Marvel, these are right from IMDb. I quoted all my things down there with the numbers. Clockwork Girl, this is a book I wrote, created with artist Kevin Hanna, and now I'm producing the feature film on the right-hand side. To see this kind of go from such an infancy stage to the final thralls of production has been quite the experience. Clockwork Girl is Romeo and Juliet, but with monsters and robots. I'm also an SFU alum, so my biology degree and technology mixed in there. This is the one I sold to a major studio. I think because this is YouTube, I shouldn't mention it yet. But valuing the IP, this is a $1 million idea versus an idea with $1 million behind it. Which one's more valuable? Me, I believe the latter. If you put the $1 million behind it, and that can be in the form of your time, you have something worthwhile. How do I breathe life into the story world? 3 things I focus on when I write. Collecting inspiration ideas. That can be anything from using Siri, to just taking notes, to doing whatever it is that's bubbling around. Using the 5 senses and writing what we know gives you a real grounded experience, because ultimately what you're building is a world. This is a world I built in Los Angeles. I was feeling kind of homesick. I was there for 3 years doing Cowboys and Aliens and many other things. And so I wrote a Canadiana story, loosely based on the Haida Gwaii. It's a story of a young little guy on the far left, a Sasquatch, and he goes on a journey to find his mother. Lessons I've learned from the superpowered, followed by 3 guidelines I strive for. A guy named Sean Wise actually introduced me to this, and ultimately, what defines your success? The 3 lessons I've learned from the superpowered are: number 1, know your weakness so you can overcome it. That is, find your kryptonite. Superman has kryptonite, and I think hopefully, if you're all mortal and all human like I definitely am, you got to find it. For me, my kryptonite? Organization. I'm a fairly creative guy. I like to be creative. I like to have fun. My organizational skills are a disaster. If my iPhone is not syncing, I don't even know where I'm showing up. Number 2, Iron Man. The need for continuous improvement. Arthur Blank and Bernie Marcus created a $90 billion hardware empire in Home Depot. They followed one rule. Every single day at each one of their stores, they made an improvement. It was that simple. I believe in the lifelong improvement and lifelong learning, and Iron Man taught me that lesson. The next lesson is Mystique, if you've seen X-Men. Be yourself. She's a shape changer. She can look like anything she wants, including some of the most beautiful people in the world, or a crazy blue monster. She chooses this one because she felt the anger and resentment inside her. It actually was expressing who she really was. For me, a lot of times, I work in such a creative industry, it's easy to get extracted. So I live by these 3 guidelines. Vision. For me, there's a fine line between inspiration and ambition. I like to have dreams, I like to have big visions. Same time, I kind of want to pull back sometimes because my visions tend to be a little overwhelming on myself. The second one is integrity. Those are my 4 kids. They keep me busy, and there's been a lot of twins here tonight. A lot of SFU and a lot of twins. But at the beginning, I was writing stories about demons and flesh and monsters, and now I'm writing about princesses, pixies, and parables. Your inspiration somewhat changes once you have kids. Amazing how that happens. The last one is passion, and I like to do things that have passion. The last 3 guidelines I just gave you is VIP. I try and have each day as a VIP day, and if I have a day that accomplishes some of my vision, and I've done so with integrity, and I've had passion doing it, and I've actually loved it, I consider that a VIP day. And so I'm always trying to string these 3 things together. Hope. I mean, if you have a VIP day, it leads to hope. Christopher Reeves had a great quote, "If you try hope, all things are possible." Why I love the quote? 2 things. Number 1, to have hope allows us for a better tomorrow. And number 2, which is most important to me, try. At least if you're going up there, giving your best, that's all you can do. So up, and away. Thank you very much.